We, the Great Qing, are the greatest dynasty in China's history. We are the center of the known world, and we are by far the most civilized. Even as these Westerners come looking for trade and to share their technology and ideas, to us, they are completely unnecessary. Though there are some that say we need to begin modernization, we have brushed these people off as foolish, because we are the modernized country, and these barbarians have been relocated to only a few port cities in southern China. And so we have a stranglehold on these Westerners, and our empire will last 1,000 more years. Five years later, after we discovered British opium smugglers in Canton, through careful diplomatic maneuvering and hard crackdowns, we were able to force the British to back down. After we arrested their smugglers, seized their assets, and further restricted British movements. And no repercussions have followed us. This has reinforced our belief that we are the strongest country on Earth, and has further reinforced our belief that we do not need modernization or Western technology. And so, we will begin to restrict European movement even further to ensure that these barbaric Westerners do not poison our empire. And along with that, we shall begin the expansion of the empire, to show these Europeans just how powerful we are. Our primary target should be the Portuguese in the city of Macau, but for now, we'll focus on Southeast Asia, more specifically re-establishing our foothold on Danam, and potentially expand our influence into Burma. Preparations for these attacks will take time, so we'll turn our attention to Central Asia, to give the Russians a demonstration of our power. Within a year, we have successfully invaded Central Asia, forcing one nation to be our tributary, and another one forced to do whatever we say or else they will become one. But now we will turn to Southeast Asia, where we have built up enough of an invasion force and influence to re-secure Danam and our dominance in the region. Two years later, the war in Southeast Asia is over. Even with Burma joining the war on Danam's side, we were able to prevail and even secure a treaty port in the Indian Ocean. Next, we will fight the pesky Tibetans, which have been a thorn in our backside for years, with their semi-independent status. By 1848, we have fallen further than ever before. With our loss to the Russians, it has shattered our belief that we are the center of the world, as we have seen Western technology firsthand in use. Because of that, parts of the empire have broken off. We have lost Tibet, Yunnan, Taiwan, our new foothold over Central Asia, our puppet state of Korea, and Annam. Due to some political maneuvering, we were able to keep some parts of the empire together. However, we were forced to give them greater autonomy, like Mongolia and our Islamic territories. And on March 1st, a coup has taken place in Beijing. The royal family are still the heads of the empire and hold majority of the power of our great nation. But now, with new people in charge, it is clear that we must pursue one thing and one thing only: modernization. True modernization. We need to establish factories, build an actual professional army and navy, and reform our society so that it's flexible for the coming challenges. Our first step will be to establish an industrial heartland of China, which the empire has decreed will be Beijing and Manchuria, and with future plans to industrialize Canton and Guangdong, with Zhejiang becoming the military hub of the empire. Next will come the reforms. We will immediately push for a professional army to be enacted instead of our peasant levies. While we do that, we'll begin studying European ways of war and start adopting modern guns and artillery. This will be our focus for the next few years, as we also begin to root out the power of the landowners, which have been the main opponents towards reforming China. In the closing months of 1854, the situation within the empire has continued to be mixed. Certain reforms like passing a professional army were entirely blocked, while free trade was able to be established. On the economic side of things, the newly proclaimed industrial heartlands of Manchuria and Beijing are proving to be a resounding success, allowing us to begin expanding industry into the south of China. But now, the Russians have declared the Second Russo-Sino War, requesting huge chunks of eastern Manchuria. Thankfully for us, these are areas that have not been industrialized nor planned to be industrialized. But the problem still remains that the Russians are planning to annex sovereign Chinese territory. Many people are saying that we can fight back and win the territories we lost to them in the First War, but this is impossible. Though we have steadily adopted the ideas of line infantry that the Europeans have, we simply do not have enough guns to arm every single soldier in the army. And because they are still peasant levies and not a professional army, it means they don't necessarily know how to use a gun. But our plan will be to try and hold off the Russians with the military reforms that we have taken on so far. So, funny story, my dumb ass forgot to hit the record button for today, which means the footage for the war does not exist. So, here is my best recreation of what happened. On March 19th, 1856, the war has ended with another humiliating defeat. For a while, we were able to hold the border, but then the Russians pulled all their forces from the west and managed to crush us in many decisive battles, resulting in us accepting all of their demands to prevent our industrial heartlands from being sacked. But now, with another devastating loss, things are getting worse and worse. The economy has begun to falter, with tax evasion becoming mainstream throughout all of China. Because of that, we are forced to halt all of our construction projects as we begin to reestablish our hold over our citizens by expanding the bureaucratic center of the empire and ensure that the people are paying their fair share to help modernize China. As soon as the economy is stabilized, we will reopen our building projects, but focus on the military. Small arms factories, artillery foundries, and munitions plants will be founded across China to supply our newly professionalized military with the materials needed to fight the Europeans. Decades later, on October 30th, 1870, the empire has came a long way. Due to expert diplomacy, we have managed to persuade the Russians from not pursuing any further Chinese territory, and we were able to adopt laws like protectionism, establishing a national guard, and we have begun experimenting with trade unions. On the military side of things, we were able to build weapon, munition, and artillery foundries in Beijing and Manchuria, which has allowed us to upgrade all of our infantry to skirmish infantry, becoming on par with nations like France and Britain. However, we currently have a shortage of explosives, resulting in a drastic shortage of munitions. Despite that, our army has truly become modernized, and now we have an opportunity to test this army. The Empire of Korea has fallen into civil war. Relationships with the Empire have been peaceful for now, but this is our chance to make our former subject an ally. And so we will send an army group to the border with Korea and see how powerful a modern military could be, and if this new army could reunite China. In the middle of the war, we have found an opportunity to cut our main rival of the Tokugawa shogunate down to size. The island of Ryukyu has been joint territory for years now, but now this hidden domain must be settled, and so we will deploy our incredibly small fleet to the region and begin cozying up to the islands to sway them to our side. But right now, our main concern must be the war in Korea, as we have the rebels on the ropes. A few months later, peace and stability have been restored to Korea, and it has proven that we are now the dominant power of Asia. With the collapse of the British East India Company, and the only nation that has major influence over our empire being the Portuguese, we have truly come out as a dominant and major power. And with a successful military campaign to back up how successful our reforms have been, it is time to reunite China. Tibet, Yunnan, and Tanatuva are all theoretically possible, and we can begin to reintegrate places like Mongolia and our Islamic territories. And in the background, we will finish the enactment of public schools and securing our hold over Ryukyu. A few more months later, the fate of Ryukyu has been decided, with us managing to break it off the Tokugawa shogunate, with it now becoming our vassal. And with this final success, and the preparations finally completed for the reunification of China, it is time we march for China and the Emperor. By December 1878, the wars of reunification have been won. Yunnan has become our vassal. The semi-independent regions of the Greater Mongolian state and our Islamic territories have been reincorporated. Tibet has been resecured as our vassal, despite them holding more territory than they did before. And with a victory in the Third Russo-Sino War, we have reclaimed all of our territories that the Russians have captured from us in the last 40 years. And with the incorporation of Tanatuva back into the empire, there has only been one breakaway state that we've been unable to resecure, and that has been Taiwan. Just before the Third Russo-Sino War began, we attempted a landing to resecure the islands that failed miserably. And because of that, we have decided to leave the island alone. One small island pales in comparison to what we have pulled off. The reunification of mainland China, the industrialization of China, the modernization of China, and so much more. And with the enactment of laissez-faire economics, we are certain that we will become the economic engine of the world. And with strong relationships with Bengal, Spain, and the United Kingdom, we have potential Western allies. And so, we can say with certainty, our empire will last 1,000 years.